authority are temporary and ephemeral in nature. This is why a good leader must endeavor to do good at all time. To what God gives, he can take at any time. My name is the empirical historian and ambassador of African history. Our African history for today focus on a great warrior, charismatic and a despotic Bashorun in the old ancient Oyo Empire. His name, Bashorun Gaa. That is often given to the head of the Oyo Misi in the whole Oyo Empire. The Oyo Misi. Bashorun Gaa, a great warrior, a charismatic leader, a man with a charming quality, ruled the old Oyo Empire around 1750 to 1774. Where there was diminishing return, where there was a fall, a sharp decline in the status of the Alaafin. Bashorun Gaa, based on his personal quality, was able to raise 5 Alaafins to the throne. 5 Alaafin to the throne. And could you believe that this man destroyed 4 out of the 5 Alaafin? So let's take a look at those Alaafin that were brought into the throne by the great leader Bashorun Gaa. The first Alaafin was who we call Alaafin Labisi. Alaafin Labisi ruled for just 17 days. That was in 1750. He ruled for just 17 days. And his reign remained one of the shortest in the history of the whole Oyo Empire. And could you believe this man committed suicide as a result of threats from the great Bashorun Gaa. The second Alaafin that ruled under the great Bashorun Gaa was the man who called Alaafin Awobiojo. Alaafin Awobiojo also got to the throne in the same 1750. Could you believe this man only ruled for 130 days before he was actually taken off, and he also committed suicide, just like his predecessor. And let's not forget, my people, that power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. The great Bashorun Gaa, the third king that actually came to the throne through the help of the great Bashorun Gaa, was the one we call another great king, Alaafin Agboluaje. This man actually spent a lot of time on the throne, because according to our empirical evidence, he ruled from 1750 to 1770. And at the end of the day, this man also committed suicide. He also committed suicide. The fourth Alaafin that was brought to the reign was Alaafin Majeogbe, who ruled from 1770 to 1772. This man also died as a result of frustration that was faced under the great Bashorun Gaa. Then the fifth one, the fifth Alaafin, this was the time, this was the period where the camel actually broke its back. The fifth Alaafin name, the great man was called Alafi Abiodun Adegolu, who ruled from 1772 to 1789. Well, based on the ill treatment, based on the level of threat that was received from Bashorun by his own predecessors, Alafi Abiodun also faced the same thing, to the extent that his daughter was killed by the great Bashorun. But instead of actually retreating and compromising with the dictates of Bashorun, this man came up with a combined force. Consisted of the Onukoyi of Ikoyi land at that time, the Are Ono Kakanfo of Yoruba land at that time, which means the war general, then another big warrior called Oyabi from the Ajashe land. All came together to fight against the autocratic power of the great Bashorun. Now is it? Bashorun was defeated. He was heavily defeated. And from this angle, he was tied to a pole at the Akeson market. The Akeson market happens to be a popular market in the whole Oyo Empire. And this market was adjacent to the king's palace. To the king's palace at that time. And the king made a pronouncement, a commandment, that all citizens should cut a pound of the flesh of the great Bashorun. And the nose was not even allowed to be cut off. Why? Because the Oba actually wants him to also perceive the smell of his own body. Wow, what a life, what an African history, what a big tragedy to the life of the great Bashorun in the history of the old Oyo Empire. And it was the end of the great Bashorun. And let's not forget, once again, he who kills by the sword also dies by the sword. The present Nigerian leaders needs to know that power and authority are so temporal. They are so temporal. And what God gives, He can take at any time. Thank you very much. I remain the empirical historian, ambassador of the African history.